I used to think that healing my nervous system was all about dealing with my thoughts and my emotions and my relationships, but I'm also learning that it's about laundry detergent and food and life skills. Let me explain. Hi, I'm Brooke, and I'm a life coach who helps people show up fully to the people and projects they care about the most. If you've been following along, then you know that I've been sharing a lot about nervous system regulation and mind body connection and learning to trust your intuition and all this internal healing work. But for the last few years, I've had a parallel journey that I now realize is supporting my nervous system too. I learned how to make my own laundry detergent. I've been baking my own bread and creating my own cleaning products. I've been learning about homesteading and self sufficiency. And at first, I wasn't sure how to talk about this here because this isn't a homesteading channel or a DIY lifestyle channel. But it is a part of my healing journey. And if you're healing from anything in your life too, whether it's trauma or chronic illness or burnout, this might resonate more than you would think. So let me give you some context. I grew up in a world of chaos. My mom, she was seriously mentally ill, and what came with that was a lot of erratic decisions and abuse and instability and a childhood where I really felt no sense of control over my environment or what happened to me. So when I got out, I spent years doing this internal work, nervous system regulation and somatic practices and therapy and learning how to feel safe in my own body. And that work was crucial. But I want to talk about in 2020, and I realized, oh my gosh, I still don't feel safe. Like, I just have these memories of walking through grocery aisles and having them be totally bare and just feeling afraid of like what was going to happen. What are we going to do? What are the next 6 months going to look like? Is this it? Is this the end? And even though I've done all this internal healing work, I realized everything could be taken away in a moment, and that was very unsettling for me. And I thought, I have no real life sustaining skills. I can't grow food. I can't make what my family needs. I'm completely dependent on these external systems that could collapse at any time. And for someone who grew up in chaos where everything was taken away over and over again, that really didn't feel good to me. I started exploring self-sufficiency, not just because I wanted practical skills, but because the chemicals in the products that are normal to us in the West, they're actually making us sick. I suffered from chronic migraines for years, and I started noticing a pattern. My migraines were always worse around really strong scents and cleaning products. So I started researching, and I was learning that these fragrances and chemicals in conventional products are not just unpleasant to me, but they're poisoning my body and stressing my nervous system. They're triggering inflammation, they're adding extra load onto the body, and then the body has to work to process and detoxify those chemicals. Our nervous systems don't distinguish between mental stress, emotional stress, stress from illness, stress from pain, stress from toxins. It just responds with cortisol when it sees threat. I had no idea the chemicals in my laundry detergent and cleaning products were impacting my mental health. Basically, I cut out anything that isn't whole foods. And guess what? My migraines went away. Then my son was born, and he started breaking out in rashes. We couldn't figure out what was causing them. We tried lotions and soaps, and nothing worked. Finally, I realized let's try the laundry detergent. And natural brands were just so dang expensive. They were like 2 to 3 times the price per ounce, which just didn't agree with my budget. So I started making my own. And I'm not going to lie, it took me like a whole year to find a recipe that actually cleaned as well as the store-bought. And yes, I still have to use OxyClean from time to time. I am not a purist, but I noticed that my son's rashes cleared up when I switched to the homemade product. And I also realized our bodies are just constantly talking to us. It's amazing. And it's not just about being sensitive. My body was telling me through psoriasis and migraines, and my son's body through his rashes, that these products cause me pain. Around the same time, I started learning about the mind-gut connection. It's the idea that the microbiome in the gut seriously impacts our brain chemistry and therefore our mental health. They did a study on rats, and they injected the microbiome of a human with paranoid schizophrenia into a group of rats. and also a human with no presenting mental illness into another group of rats. Within 24 hours of the injection, the rats who received the schizophrenic microbiome showed observable erratic and harmful behaviors, while the other group did not. The implication is that mental health also lives in the gut. I also remembered about a few years before that, in 2017, I went to Colombia, and my friends who were strictly gluten-free in the US, like they would break out in rashes, they would have gut issues, they would be in a lot of pain, they would get really sick if they ate traditional breads and flours and croissants in the US. But they did a little experiment. We passed a bakery one day in Colombia, and they just said, "Oh my gosh, it smells so good. I want to try it. Screw the consequences. I'm just going to eat it." And guess what happens? They ate the croissant in Colombia and they did not get sick. So I just remember taking this mental note. There has to be something about how we process the food in the US. And after all the reading and learning and researching, this was my big takeaway. Inflammation in the gut equals inflammation in the body equals inflammation in the brain. So our mental health, our physical health, and our gut health, they are all interconnected. Processed foods, chemicals, pesticides, all the things we put in, on, and around our bodies, these all impact your brain and your mental health. So inflammation in the body means that the stress response is active. If the stress response is active, it means that blood flow is being prioritized away from our thinking brain into the lizard brain. And what's happening is our threat detection is up. We're jumping to conclusions. We're making poor decisions. Our relationships are suffering, and our decision making is suffering. Your nervous system is acting overtime, and you're making your capacity a lot smaller just because your body's trying to process all of the chemicals that you're consuming. So I started cleaning out my pantry first. I started making my own bread and buying meat from a farm, focusing on whole foods in our diet, using simple, clean ingredients. Because I'm learning that what I put in my body is just as important for my nervous system health as the somatic practices and the mindfulness and all of the healing work I'm doing for it. Here's where it all comes together. When I make my own laundry detergent, my own bread, my own cleaning products, I'm not just avoiding toxins. I'm taking back agency over my environment. I grew up completely powerless. I couldn't control what happened to me, and I didn't know how to make safety for myself. Even after all the healing work I had done, still part of me feels powerless when I'm dependent on authorities that don't have my best interests in mind. But when I create what my family needs, when I know I have the skills to feed us and to clean our home and take care of our bodies with the things that I made, and I believe that it's good for us, I am telling my nervous system something really important. You are not at the mercy of external chaos anymore. We can create what we need. We have agency. We're building our own safety. Self-sufficiency isn't just practical, it's nervous system healing. That I can create the conditions for my body to feel safe, not just internally through regulation practices, but externally through the environment that I build. When I started making these connections, everything shifted. I realized the internal work I've been doing is crucial, but it's only one part of the picture. My body is responding to my whole environment, to the sunlight and the fresh air and the screens and the food and the chemicals. And learning to create that environment supports my healing. It removes stressors from my system, so my body actually has the opportunity to heal itself the way that it's designed to do. So that's why I'm going to be sharing more about this journey. Not because I'm suddenly a homesteading expert or a DIY person. I'm really not, but I'm learning that creating a life where I feel truly safe and nourished means more than just regulating my nervous system. It means paying attention to what I'm consuming, what I'm putting on my body, what my gut is telling me, what my environment is doing to my stress levels. It means learning self-sufficiency as a form of sovereignty. And I want to invite you into that self-sufficiency practice and in ways that feel manageable for me. I didn't just build this overnight and start changing all these things. First, I learned how to make bread. Then I took out some of the packaged products. Then I switched out paper towels for cloth towels. Like, it's not something that you can just overhaul your life overnight and expect yourself to stick with it. It's like just one thing at a time, just changing it 1% each day. My heart for this video is that you will start to question and even notice what you're consuming, the products that are around you, and how it might be supporting or stressing your nervous system. Not every body is the same, and people are going to respond to different things differently. I'm still figuring out what this means for me and for my family. I'm still learning, but I want to share what works with me because it's part of my journey. If you'd like to understand your specific nervous system patterns, how your body responds to stress, I have a free Skills for Resilience assessment. It helps you identify where your nervous system gets stuck and gives you practices to start shifting it. Link is in the description. I'd love for you to take it and keep learning together. Thanks for being here. I will see you next week.